Hello everyone, welcome to the Designer Tip series. Here today we're going to talk about the Magic Wand tool. Okay, let's just get right into this. Magic Wand tool is actually right below the select button, right underneath it. So if you're looking in the default panels, this is where you should be able to find it. If you're unable to find this button anywhere, go ahead and go to Window and go down to Magic Wand. That's going to be your quickest way to find this tool. So here we go. I went ahead and expanded this, but let me show you how we got here. Okay, so I have the tool here. I'm just going to go ahead and double click. And this gives me my options for this tool. And we have a few options here. As you can tell, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Fill color, we're going to go ahead and focus on first. So why don't we go ahead and select fill color. We're going to leave our tolerance at 100. We're going to select our tool. And we're just going to go out here and we're going to select the magenta in my CMYK little area here. So we're going to select magenta, and as you can tell, it selected the magenta on this side here, the little droplets I made. Now, if I go ahead and select off of it again and select over here where the droplets are, I'm going to select my logo in magenta. Now, it's only selecting these because this color is 100% magenta and they're not anything else. Now, if my tolerance was a little bit different, I would be able to select different variations of magenta. So, and I will go over that in just a moment. But let me go ahead and show you a little bit more here. We got yellow, and as you can tell, these little droplets got selected over here by yellow. Cyan, as you can see the cyan droplets, and then our black. Now, again, it doesn't matter where you're originating from, your selection will be whatever that color is and whatever your actual example of that color that you want to find in the document is going to be. So, I'm going to go ahead and move on to stroke color. Moving up into this area, we have several variations of strokes on our actual document here, and so this is going to be a little interesting to watch. So I'm going to select stroke color at a tolerance of 100, and then I'm going to grab my magic wand. I'm going to select that. So as you can tell, it selected just 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of the logos that I have. Now, I do have variations on the stroke on each one of these. This one's just a little bit thicker and it goes to the thickest down here at the bottom. Now, the tolerance here is at 100. So if I change that tolerance, and let's take a look at what I have here. First, we're going to see that we're going to go over here to our strokes panel, and first we're going to see here on our weight that the weight of the stroke on this top row is 0.0078. Now if I select the next one down, that goes up to 0.0625, and the following one is actually 0.125. So there is a different variation in the weights of each one of these logos, but the fundamental tolerance is at 100. So it's 100% of that particular color. If that color is in that stroke, this is what it's going to grab. Now, this is how you can change that. So we're going to take a look here, down here at the very bottom of our tools, and we're going to go into the stroke box. Now that stroke is right over here. You'll see the color breakdown. It's roughly 8% by 2 3/4 by 72% CMY. There's no black in this. So when I select it right over here, let me grab that magic wand again. It's grabbing just that variation of color throughout each one. Now, if I were to change the tolerance on this, it wouldn't change the selection. So I'm going to go to 0. I'm going to select these again. As you can tell, each one of these still remains the same. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on one right down here at the bottom corner, and I'm just going to add 1% black. That's all I've changed. You might even notice the difference even if this was printed. But this is how accurate the tool is. I have a 0 tolerance on this, and I'm going to select this stroke one more time. And I want you to see that that bottom right, even though every other one, I'm going to zoom in on this, even though every other one got selected, this one was left out because there is absolutely no tolerance. If you think about it, that a tolerant person will be accepting of others, okay? But an intolerant person will be rejecting others. So I'm not going into social dynamics here, but if you think about it, if you're tolerant and accepting more colors in the search, then you will grasp more than you were if you were intolerant. And if you wanted to be intolerant, you only want that specific color, that specific stroke, that specific design element. So that's kind of a way to think about it, not necessarily in a way where um, I don't know exactly how you would think of it any other way, but in my example, that's how I think about it when I'm going through my work, and that helps me understand what it is I'm trying to select. So we're going to go ahead and take that tolerance to 100. So being a tolerant person, oops, I'm just zooming in here. Sorry about that. So being a tolerant person, we're going to grab everything closest to this. And there you go. Now, the variance between those colors is very minimal, as you can tell. So we're looking for, this is 100% tolerance. So this is accepting of anything of that particular color. Now, and that variation could well be a few points off here, a few points off there, and that could really help you in a lot of different ways. In a lot of different scenarios you can find yourself in. You had created a document that you needed to, maybe put some yellow on one side and the same yellow on the other, but the other yellow got changed somehow. Okay, so it has a very, very different look to it. But if you are using this tool to select your artwork, and I would say using this tool at the end of your artwork would probably be best. That way you can really see what it is you need to change to keep everything consistent. Everything has the same color, everything has the same stroke, everything has the same fill. All these things add up, and then you can easily divide them and just attack each one that you need to go after. Okay? So let's just see where that tolerance level really goes to the point where we can isolate just that one again. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to drop this down to 90% and see if that actually changes anything. Nope, still there. Okay, so I'm going to go down to 50 and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Still accepting it. All right, we're going to go down to 20. Still accepting, and we're going to go down to 10. So the more intolerant you're getting is, right, you're getting less and less tolerant of any variations. You want specifically to go after something. So down I go. I'm going to go down to 5. And as you can see, we're still grabbing it. So we have to be very, very intolerant here. We're going to go down to 1, which I'm pretty sure is going to, no, it doesn't. Yeah, it tricked me. So we're going to go tolerance to 0 because that's all it was. It was a 0% tolerance. So nothing other than this color can be accepted. Okay, so I'm glad we took the time to really kind of dive into that and explore it a little bit more because it helps certain individuals kind of develop a more of a connection to the tools and how they work. Okay, so moving on, we got stroke weight. Now, as you can tell from the beginning, I shared that these all had different weights. So we have from a very light weight to a very heavy weight down below on our stroke. So selecting a stroke with the magic wand tool, we're going to go ahead and select the first row here. Oh, my tolerance is at 0.9. Okay, so this is a very good thing to come up. So we also need to find out what this is. So going into our stroke panel one more time, we can go ahead and see that, oh, we're selecting 0.0078 as our weight. So let's go ahead and transfer that over. 0.0078. There we go. And that converted it to a 0.01. I'm not exactly sure why, Illustrator, but that's what it does. So we can click off of that, and we're going to click this weight one more time. And there we go. We have isolated that specific weight of stroke in this document, and that's the total amount of it. So we also have a few other options here. We have I'm sorry, not other options. We have other examples here. If we go ahead, we're still selecting and a tolerance of 0.01. So this, because we're selecting in a range of a tolerance level, depending on what you actually select. So say my stroke over here, because it's going to select all of these. It has a tolerance of 0.01, so it'll accept anything within that 0.01 tolerance. So I think an easy way to understand that is to increase the tolerance here. So let me show you. We are at a tolerance, at our weight of a 0.125. So if we take the 0.125 to here, 0.125, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen, but let me show you. So I'm going to go ahead and select our 0.125 because that's our tolerance range. That's how much we're allowing for the magic wand to select for us. So in that range, we're going to be able to select from 0.125 to 0. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and select our range. There you go. So we're selecting everything. Now, even though I selected the very bottom at 0.125, it still selected everything else. I can even do this from the top. So it can be from 0 to 0.125. These are the strokes that I am looking for. Have you seen my strokes? These are the ones that we want. So that's how you can isolate exactly what you're after. Now, but just selecting one, so let me just put this on something really random here, 0.0034, just random number, okay? It's literally at 0. So that's my tolerance range. It's so minute that you can't select anything else. But if I select these, I'm still selecting only that type of stroke with a very, 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 very minor change. So it doesn't really matter if it's great or if it's very big. The tolerance levels that you have can just originate from the very basic element that you have and explore in both ways. It can go up 0.125 or it can go down 0.125. But the top is 0.125 and the bottom is 0. So you just have to explore that area. That's what you're looking for. And I hope that made sense. Let me know if I need to be clearer on that. It is a kind of a complicated thing, but I'm sure you get it. This series should really get you up to speed on everything about Illustrator with your tools. Okay, so we're going to move on. We're going to go from our weight now to opacity. Okay, so we got opacity. I got a little section over here to discuss opacity. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get started with our opacity levels. Okay, so we have right now, I'm going to change it from 5% to 100%. And I have a little example block section here that I made to give you a better idea of what it is that we're going to be selecting. So I'm just going to grab the magic wand tool, and my tolerance is at 100% opacity. And I'm going to go ahead and select my block here. And as you can tell, it selected everything that's 100% tolerance. Remember again our tolerance levels. We want to go ahead, we are accepting everything within this range of opacity, okay? So it can be from 0 to 100 at this point. Now if I drop my tolerance again, if I drop that down to, let's just go to 50%, and we're going to go ahead and select. Now again, when we select a range, our tolerance level is 50%. So 50% can be 50% greater or 50% less than, okay? Now let me give you a good example of that. Before I select my opacity here, I'm going to use my direct select, and I'm just going to go right on over here. This is a 50%, if we look right over here, those are 50% opacity, okay? I'm going to use that magic wand tool, and I'm going to select that 50%. Now, as you can tell, everything has been selected again. Again, that's 50%, that's in the middle, so that really means that anything from 0 to 50 and from 50 to 100, essentially the entire opacity level that you can go through is selected with that selection. Now, if I go ahead and change that selection from 50% to 100, which is the top left here, watch what happens. Only the blocks that go from 100 to 50% in our opacity levels have been selected. So you can see the range, it actually condenses down depending on the level of opacity that you're choosing to select. Okay. Now again, these have been selected because they're within the 50% range. And let me just show you this again. My opacity is at 50% here and also 50% here. And as you can see, it goes up 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Now we go back over here. Now we can randomly select anything at this point. Okay, so if I go ahead and choose my 0% opacity, we're going to get the reverse of 100% opacity selection. So as you can see, everything up to 50% has actually been selected. So this is really an interesting tool to work with, especially if you have a document or an art project that does have a lot of complexity and different gradients and different areas and different lines and strokes and blending modes. This tool really does come in handy when you really just need to isolate just a particular item that you're trying to select. Now again, if I just wanted to go ahead and say, look, I just want 100% cyan, okay, so your tolerance should be at 0. And I'm going to go right on over here to 100% cyan. And that's the only thing it's going to select. Same goes for 50%. And as you can tell, my two blocks slide up here. And 0. So it really just helps you focus on what it is that you're trying to select in the opacity levels, okay? It's a general theme through each one of the options here in the Magic Wand tool. Now moving on, we're going to go ahead and do the blending mode. Now, the blending mode is a very interesting tool indeed. I have this example here to kind of give you a little bit more focus on what it is that it does. Now, blending modes aren't necessarily they have not been necessarily an Illustrator type option for a very long time. It's only been more recently in the past maybe few editions lately that more Photoshop elements have been applied to Illustrator to help the design process. So when we're looking at this, I have actually added a lot of different modes to this, and I know we're going to be kind of reaching out a little bit on different areas during this tutorial, and I hope you can follow through. Again, we will go ahead and try to go through everything else. We're not going to try. We're actually going to go through every single tool here so you get a full understanding of what we're trying to do. All right, so if we take a look at my little hodgepodge of circles here, I have a circle here. It's my magenta circle. And if you look right over here, we're in the transparency palette. If you can't find that, let me go ahead and show you how you would find it. So we're going to go ahead and click off here. And right here, we have appearance. It's a little tool. It looks like a little sun. We're going to click on that. And I apologize, that's not the right one. So we're going to go down here. We're actually going to go to Window. To find this a lot faster, we're going to go down over here to our transparencies. And that's where our transparency palette is. So apologize for that. We're going to go ahead and see that this is in lighten mode. So if you click on this tool, we'll go down here to lighten. That's where we are right now. That's what's checked. But if we click on something else here, we'll notice that that circle is mode over to darken. Now, there's a lot of different modes you can be in. This is indifference, we have overlay, and a number of different other ones in here that I've kind of thrown together. This works the same way. Again, we have a tolerance level, but at the same time, we can also be very specific with the Magic Wand tool. So if we can go ahead and select our Magic Wand tool, click on blending mode, and with this, it doesn't really give you a tolerance level. It just gives you the type of transparency that you're looking to adjust, okay? So say you have an image and part of it is a little bit more opaque and it blends into another color, but that range or that image on different pages or artboards, which we will go into, is a little different, and maybe it doesn't come out right when you print it, and you just need to knock it down a little bit more. So we can go ahead and select our blending mode in our Magic Wand tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and select our big magenta one here, and we go ahead and we are now selecting just the ones that have lighten in the blending mode. And you can see right here, right below it, we get a little preview of what we've selected. And if we go ahead and go back over here to Magic Wand tool again, we're going to go ahead and select on another color. And again, our preview changes and also the transparency changes to the blending mode that we're looking for. So I'm just going to go ahead and click around here so you can see the selection process and what exactly we're grabbing. So that's really what boils down to with the Magic Wand tool and the blending mode section of the tool. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, guys. Sorry this was a little bit longer than normal, but the Magic Wand tool really had a lot of options, and I really wanted to cover it and make sure it was in-depth enough to give you some actionable uh, areas to work with and not be so lost when you actually have a project come up and you still have to work on it and you have to use the tool somehow. So this is a really great tool. I am going to go ahead and go deeper into these type of selections again with the select options when we get to that part in the whole tutorial series. We're going to go ahead and explore a little bit more in the selection process and what we can actually accomplish with more focused selections and what we're kind of trying to grab. Okay, guys, again, thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you wouldn't mind. I have an email list if you'd like to sign up for updates on new tutorials coming out, or if you just want to subscribe to the channel. Both are great. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.